A traveler is on the shore of an island in the Mediterranean Sea with crystal clear water around him. He pulls out his metal detector and starts scanning the sand. After a few moments, the device beeps. It's a hit. He digs in the sand and finds an ancient coin. A few meters away, another blip appears, and then another. The traveler has stumbled upon a treasure trove of history, but he's not alone. Welcome to Malta, an archipelago nestled in the heart of the Mediterranean between Sicily and Libya. These islands have been inhabited for over 7,000 years. That's longer than any other civilization in Europe. Yet this amazing fact is rarely known outside of the islands. The truth is, these islands are filled with history and archaeology, and most people just don't know about it. So let's take a journey back in time and explore Malta's incredible past. Our voyage begins on the shores of one of the islands, where our traveler has just discovered some ancient coins. These coins date back to the Roman Empire. They were minted during the reign of Antoninus Pius from 138 to 161 AD. But the traveler is not looking for Roman coins. He is searching for something much older. In 2009, this beach was transformed into a massive building site when the government of Malta launched a project to protect the island's cultural heritage. This included the construction of a breakwater to prevent erosion and safeguard important historical sites. During the construction work, archaeologists uncovered an entire Roman villa complex dating back to the 1st century BC. It was a sprawling estate complete with a courtyard, frescoes, mosaics, and even a secret passageway leading to the sea. But the Romans weren't the first to settle here. In fact, they inherited a well-developed society that had been growing on these islands for thousands of years. The story goes back to 5900 BC when humans first arrived in Malta. They came from the Middle East and North Africa in small boats, bringing their culture and knowledge with them. The first settlements were small villages made up of huts and tents. But over time, they grew into larger towns with stone houses and temples. The most famous of these early settlements is Hagar Kim. Located on the southern coast of Malta, Hagar Kim is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the oldest freestanding stone structures in the world. Construction began around 3600 BC and was completed around 3200 BC. This makes it older than Stonehenge by over 2,000 years and rivaling the Egyptian pyramids as one of the oldest man-made wonders in the world. Hagar Kim was built during the Gantija phase of Maltese prehistory, named after the megalithic temples of Hagar Kim and Memnajdra. These temples are believed to have been used for religious ceremonies and were likely a center of social and political life. Their builders were farmers who lived on the island. They grew crops like wheat, barley, figs, and grapes, and raised animals like cows, sheep, and pigs. They also developed sophisticated irrigation systems to water their crops and store rainwater for later use. But life on the island was not always peaceful. Around 2500 BC, Malta was invaded by a group of people from Sicily. These invaders were known as the Sicanians, and they brought with them new technologies and customs. They also introduced slavery to the island. Unfortunately, we don't know much about these Sicilians or what happened to the native population. The only evidence we have of the Sicilian occupation is a few artifacts and place names. After the Sicilians left, the native Maltese people began to rebuild their society. They continued to farm and raise animals, but they also started trading with other civilizations. They traded their agricultural products for things like pottery, metal tools, and ivory. This trade brought new wealth and prosperity to the islands, and the Maltese people were able to construct even larger and more impressive buildings. One such structure is the Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni. This underground necropolis dates back to around 4000 BC and is the oldest known underground archaeological site in the world. It was used as a burial ground for over 2,000 years, and archaeologists have found over 1,000 skeletons there. The Hypogeum is a remarkable feat of engineering. The Maltese people dug tunnels and chambers using nothing but primitive tools. They then decorated these chambers with paintings and sculptures of the dead. But the Maltese people were not content to live on just one island. Around 1500 BC, they began exploring the surrounding waters and settled on a smaller island nearby. This island would later become known as Gozo. Gozo is the second largest island in the Maltese archipelago, and it has its own unique history and culture. For most of its early history, Gozo was independent of Malta, but it was still part of the same civilization. The people of Gozo farmed and traded like their counterparts in Malta, but they also developed a unique style of pottery that is still prized by collectors today. However, the peace and tranquility of life on Gozo would not last forever. Around 800 BC, the island was invaded by the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians were a seafaring people from Lebanon, and they quickly took control of Gozo. They used the island as a base for their trading activities and exploited its natural resources. They also introduced new technologies to Gozo, such as ironworking and glassmaking. However, the Phoenician occupation of Gozo was short-lived. In 218 BC, the Carthaginians invaded the island. The Carthaginians were a powerful empire based in North Africa, and they quickly defeated the Phoenicians. They, too, used Gozo as a base for their trading activities, but they also built a harbor on the island. This harbor would later become one of the most important naval bases in the Mediterranean. The Carthaginians held Gozo for over 200 years, but in 146 BC, the island was conquered by the Romans. The Romans ruled Gozo for over 400 years, but as the empire declined, the island became increasingly unstable. In the 6th century, Gozo was raided by the Vandals and the Byzantines. Then in the 9th century, it was conquered by the Arabs. The Arabs ruled Gozo for over 3 centuries, but in 1091 it was retaken by the Normans. The Normans were a fierce people from northern France, and they quickly established control over Gozo. They built a castle on the island and stationed a garrison of soldiers there. The Normans ruled Gozo for over 200 years, but in 1266 it was conquered by King Charles I of Sicily. Charles I ruled Gozo along with the rest of the Maltese archipelago until 1530, when the islands were given to the Knights of St. John. The Knights of St. John were a religious order founded in 1516 to protect the Holy Land. They quickly made Malta their base of operations and built a number of fortifications on the island to protect it from attack. The Knights of St. John ruled Gozo for over 200 years, but in 1798 it was conquered by Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon needed a base for his ships in the Mediterranean, and he chose Gozo for its natural harbor. He also confiscated the land of the Knights of St. John and gave it to French settlers. But Napoleon's occupation of Gozo lasted only 2 years. In 1800, the British took control of the island, and it has remained a part of Britain ever since. Today, Gozo is a popular tourist destination, known for its beautiful beaches and relaxed atmosphere. Visitors can explore the island's rich history at the Citadel, a massive fortification built by the Knights of St. John, or the Gantija Temples, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the oldest freestanding stone structures in the world. They can also relax on Gozo's many beaches or go hiking in its rural countryside. Meanwhile, back in Malta, the traveler has just discovered something truly amazing. The coins he found on the beach are actually part of a much larger hoard. Archaeologists believe that this hoard was buried here by the owner of the Roman villa complex. And if that's true, there could be even more treasures hidden here. The traveler is not the only one searching for Roman coins in Malta. In recent years, the hobby has become very popular, and many people have discovered valuable coins and artifacts. Some of these discoveries have even been made by accident, like when construction workers uncovered a Roman mosaic in their backyard. But finding Roman coins in Malta is not easy. Many of the island's beaches have been heavily eroded, and the coins are often broken or damaged. Plus, you need to have a license from the government of Malta to keep any coins you find. But for some people, the thrill of the hunt is worth it, and who knows what other treasures might be waiting to be found on the shores of Malta. Thanks for joining us on this journey through Malta's incredible past. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you have any information about the topic, feel free to leave a comment below. Who knows? You might help solve one of history's greatest mysteries.